Hello, welcome to another of these production breakdowns. They tend to run quite long, so apologies in advance for any rambling and going off topic, which I'm sure there'll be quite a lot of. Today I'm gonna look into the production for my latest single, The Hollow Killer In, which came out February 25th, 2022. So a few months ago. I just never got around to doing this production breakdown, and I wanted to at some point get into it. So that's today. So without any further ado, let me put these on and let's go. So the track starts off pretty much acoustic, a double-tracked acoustic guitar and a single vocal. Let's listen to the intro and the first verse, or at least part of it. I've been there. I've been there. I've been there and back, walking in your shoes. It's nothing new. Voices in... Okay, that's the first pre-chorus. We'll get there. So, first off, let's talk about these acoustic guitars. They're actually... I'll show you the progression first. So it's capoed on the 2nd fret, and this is how it goes. So, all relative to the capo on the 2nd fret, it's an F sharp minor. Walk the bass up to G sharp, and then the open A string, and an A chord. Then I run that up to a D, back to an A, to an E. And that's the main chord progression. There's another one for the chorus, but I'll show you when we get there. So, it's double tracked, right? As I told you. Let's see, just the acoustic. So, on the left, completely hard band. And on the right, I recorded with that same acoustic guitar that I just showed you, the big one, and into the Neumann TLM 103. Through the sort of the UAD Neve preamp with slight compression, like maybe 1 or 2 dB, nothing more than that, probably just 1 dB, if at all. And then there's no processing on it really. Mind you, this is the production session, it's not the mix. Victor Sanchez Arelcar mixed it. So when I know I'm going to mix with him, I'll usually tend to leave stuff that I know we're going to tackle in the mix quite dry. So there's no EQ, no compression, none of that on these. It's played with my fingers. And then later on in the track, let's look at this now actually. So let me just solo the guitars. You can see it's with the fingers, I'm hitting them with my nails, right? Here we get into the chorus guitars, where you can tell I'm using a pick. So I just wanted to start really almost like it was the demo for the track. So with my fingers, and then I transition into the pick here in the chorus, and in the second verse too, I use a pick, as you can hear here. We'll get there, but I wanted to point that out. There's not much else to point out about these acoustic guitars, so let's look at the vocal. The vocal is pretty much just from 2 or 3 different takes, as you can see here. These first 2 phrases, which are these, I've been there, which are quite low for my register. I've been there. I've been there. Those 2 I recorded early one morning, I think, and I liked how they sounded, but I wasn't as thrilled with the rest of the verse, so these are from another day. I've been there and back. You can tell there's a different quality to the vocals, and that's why, and even from a third day or a third take. It's nothing new. Yeah. What else is going on in this? Oh yeah, here. This little sort of percussion thing. Let's listen. So this actually is played with these. It's, I don't know how you pronounce this in English, clave? I don't know. So these, it's just a couple of hits like this. And then I messed with it, as you can see here. Here's the processing. Just, I think, standard Pro R reverb. EQ. Cutting the lows, cutting the highs, fairly standard. Sorry. Pan man, right? Panning. And then I think the sort of interesting thing here was that I put the delay after the panning and after the reverb, and that's what gives it this vibe. Then I turn off the pan man. Right, the automation is here. And there you can see the, let me see. Oh, we were missing a couple of automation lanes. Let me get those going. Here we go. So with the EQ, I automated this cut, right? It comes before, the EQ is before the panning and the delay, so that's why we get the sort of funny effect with the delay, and that was the main idea behind it. I do seem to recall that I messed with the pitch here. I made them all much lower than they should be, actually. This would be the hit, right? It's very, very high, and this is what I used. Yep, there we go. So that's the only sort of funny little extra production thing. Back, walking in your shoes. And we get to the first pre-chorus where the bass comes in and actually harmonies come in too. You see the bass, it comes in on the turnaround just before the pre-chorus. Let's listen to the bass. Long notes, just trying to really complement that chord progression. Nothing crazy going on there. Most of you probably know from previous breakdowns that when I track electric bass, I use this bass. Here we go, Fender, Precision, nothing crazy, pretty standard, but sounds solid, sounds great. And I track it through the Apollo UAD Ampeg. It's this plugin, Here we go, the SV TVR Classic. That's what I use for all my electric bass. And then what I really want to show you here is Marta comes in and does some super nice harmonies. So. Voices in my head. Super delicate, super cool, love them. Let's listen to my lead vocal and the harmonies by themselves. Voices in my head. Vocal is centered, harmonies are open. There you, I know. Simple but effective, right? That was the whole idea with the beginning of this song. I wanted to start really raw with the acoustic and just my lead vocal. There's, some details in there that, like that little clave production thing that we looked at, but nothing else really, because the song is really going to build and build in the chorus, in the next verse, in the next chorus, in the bridge, and the outro. So, yeah, we had Marta come in there, and that's enough to make this pre-chorus special. And then we'll go straight into the first chorus, where there's more stuff going on, especially vocally. The bass will continue. We got some percussion coming in too. And on my deathbed I will call you. We'll go over everything. You read me all my sins. Kristen, I will call you. You'll be me. Okay, and then in the post-chorus, it all strips back again. So let me first show you, these guitars that I showed you before. I actually made them come in towards the end of the pre-chorus, right? So there's 4 guitars going on there, but these are fading out and these are fading in. We got the pick coming in now for a much clearer sound. Let me show you the chords. Okay, so first we're coming from here, right? From the verse, it ends here. On the E, just a little high E string detail. This is the chord I'm playing. It's kind of an A, right? But with the open E and open E and B too. So relative to the capo, right? It would be a B, but I'll just assume I'm talking relative to the capo. Back to the E, F sharp minor, but with open strings again. Now to these syncopated hits, which make the chorus, in my opinion. So coming from here. So. And I do that twice with slightly different rhythms. So the first time it's. And then it's. And folds back again to Kristen, I will call you. Back to the F sharp, and then so up, down, up. You'll be me. And back to the same chords. So that's what the acoustic guitar is doing. These are the hits. Okay, and that's accompanied by these tambourine hits right here. which are also, you know, I've got a bunch of effects going on here. Standard cuts, effect rack with a delay and a tremolo. Some noise, sort of making it into a cassette, more Pro Q, and these are, and then timeless too. It's all going into a plate reverb, as you can see, 86% wet, so pretty wet. Micro shift to open it up, Pro Q to cut again, because all these plugins, they keep adding artifacts and stuff to the low end, which I don't want in the tambourine, right? So that's why. And then the panning, which is also automated. It's on in this area, and then it becomes more consistent here, and I didn't need the panning, so it's off. Let's just listen to this tambourine. And then in this part, it just becomes consistent. And then the chorus finishes there. There's also an egg shaker that comes in at the beginning. I love these little egg shakers. I use them all the time. As you can see, it's pretty loosely played, really accentuating and trying to go with the emphasis of the chorus, obviously building up. And on my deathbed I will call you. We'll go over everything. You read me all my sins. Kristen, I will call you. And that's all of it. That's all of it. Now let's get into the vocals, because the instrumentation is that. We've got just the lead vocal down the center. And on my one take, no crazy vocal comping. I'm not a big fan of that. I just prefer to get, as much as possible, full takes, at least of individual sections. As I said, not a big fan of comping word by word, phrase by phrase, or even syllable by syllable, which some people do, but you know, that's not the type of music I want to make. Then we've got doubles. And on my call you. Always cutting out the breaths, because we only need the breath from the lead vocal, which you can call you. There you go, that's the breath. But here we don't need to build up the breaths, right? Then again, you don't want to cut them all out, because then it would be unnatural. But leave the lead vocal in, the breath, and then you can cut it from the doubles. And I actually tripled up here, so there's 5 takes in unison of this in this chorus. And on my deathbed I will call you. So the main doubles are hard panned completely to the left and to the right, and the other 2 are in the middle, right? So these, which are called triples, are halfway there. The doubles completely, and the lead in the center, and that's how we get that, you know, that effect. Then, what's this? Oh yeah, these are full voice, so they're pretty much used as an effect, but it's, instead of breaking into the falsetto, I just sing the whole thing in chest voice. And on my deathbed I will call you. Metal, let's go. But, you know, it all adds. Let's keep soloing, let's keep adding the lead, the doubles, triple, full voice. Let's listen to that. And on my now, the full voice is very subtle, but it's there and it gives it the oomph it needs, okay? And then let's get into these harmonies. First, I've got these 2. I almost always double track harmonies so that I can spread them. So I've got the octave below. And on my deathbed I will call you. Then I've got a 3rd up, just on some words. In this case, it's on deathbed. A 3rd up from the octave below, obviously, and the 5th. So all these harmonies together work like this. And on my deathbed I will. So they create the chord there, and then on Kristen, I think. Kristen, I will call you. There you go, the octave runs all the way through the chorus, and we have the third and the fifth coming in for effect, just on some words. And then there's also these harmonies from Marta, which again are what gives it the sort of magical, spacey vibe. Doing a completely different line, descending, but beautiful. Lots of effect in this. Echo Boy, pretty standard, and Pro R. Let's listen to that with my lead vocal. And on my deathbed I will call you. You see, it gives it air, right? Now let's listen to all the vocals together. So there'll be the lead, the doubles, the triples, the full voice, my harmonies, and Marta's sort of alternative line. And on my deathbed I will call you. We'll go over everything. You read me all my sins. Kristen, I will call you. I think the reason it worked well, and the reason I left it at this, is that at the beginning of the chorus, you get a big impact of all the harmonies coming in on the first phrase, and especially on that deathbed, which is the word I wanted to emphasize. Then a couple of phrases where most of the harmonic content gets stripped out again, and then for Kristen, it comes back, right? So let's listen to the chorus with all of the instruments. And see the effect. Shaker. And on my deathbed I will call you. We'll go over everything. Right? Do you feel that? It's exactly when we get to the syncopated hits with the acoustic guitar that the vocal production cuts back a bit. Why? Because if not, it would be too much, right? So by taking away some of the harmonies and Marta's harmonies and stuff, then we leave some space for the tambourine, and it works better, right, with the guitar hits. So that's very full. Strip it back a bit now. We'll go over everything. You read me all my sins. Back. And now the tambourine is consistent. And now we let it go. And I'll be you. And I come back from the falsetto to my regular voice, and then Marta in this post-chorus does the higher harmonies. Let's listen to this post-chorus. At the end of the chorus, it just all hangs and bam, back down into the main progression. Full bar of hanging down. And I'll be you at the Hollow Killer Inn. The Hollow Killer Inn. When the evening falls. Into the second verse with the drums. But let's just check this pretty quickly. As you can see, the doubles, the triples, the harmonies, they all finish here. And all the vocals do this sort of downwards motion to help transition into the post-chorus. Listen to it. You'll be me. And that's what serves as a transition out of the chorus into the post. As I told you, another guitar take too. It's all picked, but got it there. And the bass too. I think this slides down. There you go. There's the slide. Not much else going on. So that's the post-chorus. Just back to the acoustic, my lead with Marta's harmonies, which sort of fill the space that my falsetto was filling before. I'll be you, Hollow Killer Inn, when the evening falls. So the Marta's harmonies in the chorus are very wet, very airy, lots of reverb. But here I'm cutting back again, cutting down, and it's all much drier, right? On purpose. At the Hollow Killer Inn when the evening falls. Now for the second verse, this is where more stuff begins to happen, especially all the drums start to come in. Okay? When the evening falls. The drums I did with my friend and great drummer Adrian. We were actually thinking of tracking them, but we ended up programming them, and it was one of these rare cases where the programmed drums worked so well with the track that I just decided to leave it at that. And as you can see, it's a pretty simple pattern to begin with. There's some, I'm a big fan of doing some sort of production tricks, if you will, on some snares, and I ended up doing a few different things. This is one, which is just the same snare that I'm using, but with a bunch of effects on it. This one, this chain here, is doing the pitch going up. Then I've got this high cooker, beat wiper. I don't know. Check it out. That's it. And there's, it's automating. As you can see, in this one, it's only the pitch up that's working. It's this chain. Then I've got a different hit here, which I called beat wiper. And then here we have high cooker. That one's really cool. You should hear it in context, though. Look. You hear that? Boom, boom. Like an echo back in a. Just imagine a huge industrial space, and it's echoing back to the back of the place, and that's what you get. Right, with the snare. Yep, and the way I place these snares with effects is usually when there's some space that the vocal's leaving, like for instance in this one. There's no vocals, so it's a good spot to sort of hook you back in with an effect on the snare. Same, right? Again, it's not about adding, it's about knowing when to use things and when not to overdo it. That's at least the way I like to look at it. So, pretty simple here, just kicking a snare with those nice effects. No bass, I cut out the bass here, just guitar. One vocal, and then here. What I tried to do here in this second verse, as the song starts to build, is create moments, sort of little worlds within the song. Instead of bringing stuff in consistently and leaving it and then building, I just like to create a moment, and that moment probably won't come back in the rest of the track, and I think that's what makes it special. So here on the word adulation, where the lead vocal breaks into falsetto, I've been there. The melody is similar to the first verse, but instead of doing it in my lower register, I go high up, right? So I've been there. Now, breaks up. Adulation in my veins. Right, and I wanted to accompany that falsetto, so I recorded these harmonies. Adulation in. Super dry, as you can see. Again, similar thing, we've got an octave. Adulation in. Just for those two words. Adulation. That's just a double and a triple, I guess. Adulation. So. Adulation in. Just vocals. Adulation in my veins. Then back to just the lead vocal, right? And I accompany that with guitar too, which I called Guitar Spanish Japan. This is what it sounds like. Adulation in. It's just reinforcing the melody. I recorded that with this guitar. Spanish guitar. There you go. And it's double tracked, one to the left, one to the right. Give it a lot of stereo. I used Ableton stock echo, micro shift again to make it even wider, and Pro Q to cut the lows and the highs as per usual. And that's what it sounds like. I'll show you without any of the processing. Check it out. And then with the processing. Now that with the vocals accompanying the adulation word. Adulation in my vein. There you go. And that's how I created that little moment specifically for that word, right? 'Cause I've been there. Adulation in my veins. Another little moment. These horns here, this synth. It's the only synth in the whole track, really, and they serve as the transition to the second part of this second verse. These are the horns by themselves. Sort of a crescendo in the end, and trying to help ease the transition into this next part, where I'm bringing in more an electric guitar. The bass is coming back in. I think not hi-hats yet, but I'll show you now. So that's what this sounds like. It's just Contact, pretty standard, and I'm using RC20, which I use a lot. It's the source machine, the secret source. This is what I use. I usually like to go a couple presets down to vinyl 3, and then I always mess around with this and the cut here, the tone, sometimes with the magnitude. This is basically dry wet, right? So. There we go. So the horns work very well with the bass. The bass is coming in now. Remember, when the bass first came in, it was very long notes, helping accentuate the feeling of the production in that part. But now, here, the acoustic guitars are played with the pick. There's a beat going on with the drums. We've got a lot more stuff, so we need a punchier, tighter bass. Boom, boom. I've been there and back. And then leaving a lot of breathing room. I think that's very important. These guitars came in here for the second part of this verse too. Guitar electric detail is what I called them. Very simple. I'm just cutting with Pro Q, cutting some lows, some highs. I like to do more of a gentle slope for the highs, usually 24 for the lows. And Pro are, pretty heavy. And this is recorded with the only electric that I have here in the studio now, which is this Gibson ES339. 98% of the time, I record just the line through my UAD Apollo Twin into the emulation of the Fender 55 Tweed Deluxe on a pretty clean setting, especially for this kind of sort of detail guitar. They're just very high chords, and those work with the acoustic. And with the bass, right? Let's bring in all of it really now. Without vocals, actually. Let's listen to that whole section without vocals. Here we go. That's where the hi-hat comes in. But first, let's see what's going on here with the vocals. I think just a single vocal, and then another moment right here with these harmonies. Oh God, I didn't turn them on. Here we go. I've been there and back. I've been there and back, and then we've got this sort of arrangement of backing vocals saying back, back. There's a few layers here. Back, back. So on the left and on the right, it creates harmonic tension, right? Back, back. They're quite tense. They're automating from the left to the right or vice versa. I'm not sure. I've been there and back. When all of a sudden, and that's, enough to create another little moment. Very dry, these vocals again. I'm becoming quite a big fan of keeping a lot of things dry. I think it sort of helps with texture when you have other stuff like really reverbed out guitars and, Back, back. You contrast that with this electric guitar that we were listening to, right? Back, back. So the guitar can linger on and it can stay, and these other harmonies can be just a moment that comes and goes. Let's keep moving. Some hi-hat coming in. Nothing crazy. We used a few different sounds of up and downs. I got them from Splice. They're from That Sound, who make the best drum samples, especially for this sort of style. Sometimes playing there. Cool. And here I brought in some of my doubles to start building this pre. Sometimes playing there. And also Marta comes back, right? Just as in the first pre-chorus. Sometimes playing there is a note. There's the snare hit that we were talking about before. Listen. There we go. Let's do so. The electric guitar changes from chords to an arpeggio, right? That helps sort of get things moving, right? We're coming from a very gentle electric guitar, and now we're going to move. So, in my mind, I always think of those as Simon and Garfunkel sort of guitar arrangements, don't know why. So we got the acoustics still going with these electrics. The bass is getting a bit more consistent, missing less hits, and the whole beat, right? The hi-hat's there. It's really built up now. It's a moment in itself, this whole sort of pre, right? Let's get the vocals back in. Sometimes playing there is a note. Let's do so. And now we're coming into the big chorus, right? And on my deathbed I will call you. We'll go over everything. Read me all my sins. Read it goes into a bridge, but we'll get to that. What's going on here? The acoustic guitar continues, the electric guitar continues in a bit of a different way. Now it's, I think I recall it's no longer an arpeggio. It's played, right? With the acoustic. Really playing into those 3 hits again, right? You can listen to them here on their own. Right, there we go. The bass continues and now it becomes long notes again. But the thing here is I added a synth bass, Arturia, Mini. I use that all the time. And then I cut a lot of the lows because I wanted this electric bass to sort of carry the weight in the subs and the lows. And both of them together work like this. It's almost not working as a bass. It's sort of a mid-heavy bass with guitars. There's this other guitar which carries a lot of weight in the bridge. I called it Springy. It's my favorite guitar sound in this song. And it makes a sort of a brief appearance here at the beginning to tease the sound that will then come back in a much more important role there. It sounds like this. This is played on one string, on one of the low strings. It's coming into primal tap, and then into Pan Man, which is moving pretty slowly. And then I used this reverb by Ableton, Spring Parade for Springy. As for vocals, same business as in the first chorus: lead, doubles, triples, full voice, the harmonies, and Marta's harmonies. And then I added some sort of verbed out vocals, which is this. Which is just a vocal going into Echo Boy and Pro R, my usual micro shift to widen it out. In this case, being a sort of effecty vocal, I don't really want to double track it. Usually I want to keep it as one thing. So I'll use micro shift to make it a bit wider, and then just Pro R, cutting the lows and the highs a bit. Let's listen to this in the context of vocals. On my deathbed I will call you. You can always find spaces in which to add things in. So if you leave with the first chorus quite empty, the second one, you can find these sort of spaces, right? Between this phrase and this phrase, we have space for something. And that's where something like this sort of really verbed out vocal will work perfectly. I will call you. We'll go over everything. Same thing here. I will call you. You'll be me. It's just echoing the lyrics. I will call you. Kristen, I will call you. I will call you. You'll be me. There we go. Let's look at the drums, which is the other thing that's changed. We come from a pretty simple arrangement here, right? I know it sounds robotic, but in the context and in the mix, it works. And then for this chorus, I wanted much bigger drums. The first difference was I brought in a different kick, different snare, really broken snare, as you can tell. I used 2 different snares, but they're doing similar things. It's the same arrangement, just slightly different sounds and different effects. I brought in a ride. These crashes to sort of transition in. A couple crashes, one to the left, one to the right. That really works. Let's listen to the drums by themselves here. Then here, again, we're coming to the section where we have those 3 hits with the guitars, and I wanted to do something different. So the main drum sound goes away, and it sort of strips back down to just these wonderful cymbals that do this. And they do the same thing as the guitars are doing. We'll go over everything. Read me all my shit. Now we have the cymbals, the vocals, that synth bass, they're all playing the same game, right? That's why it becomes stronger and stronger. It's not just a matter of adding layers and layers, it's the intent. We'll go over everything. Building back out with a transition and some tom hits. Right? These are just some simple hits, really distorted. This is just a riser. The crashes will hit again. That'll serve as a transition, and it's the same arrangement as before. So. Read me all my shades, Kristen, I will call you. You'll be me, and I'll be you. And this brings us into the big payoff, I hope, of the song, which is the bridge. And the chords change, more vocals come in, quite a lot more vocals. And yeah, let's listen to it. I will call you. You'll be me, and I'll be you. 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 Okay, so what's going on here? Let's first look at the vocals, okay? I will call you. You'll be me, and I'll be you. So this phrase in the first chorus, it's what then, the chorus ended there and it slid down into the post-chorus. You'll be me, and I'll be you. Right, and this second time, it's what gives us the transition into the even bigger part, right? So that's the contrast again. You'll be me. It says, you'll be me, and I'll be you. You'll be me, and I'll be you. I'll be you. So let's build it up. Lead vocal, doubles and triples. I'll be you. I'll be you. Plus the octave below. I'll be you. I actually tracked this lower octave 4 times. I'll be you. So right now we have the lead vocal in the center, and then we have the doubles open, 1 set of low octaves open, and then in the middle 1 set of doubles and 1 set of octaves too. I'll be you. Then here I went with the third up. Let's listen to it by itself. Struggling a bit there? No. Just going for the grit, right? And the fifth, which makes the metal voice makes a comeback. It's a different melody, right? And that, in context, just with the vocals, works. Okay, so that's what's going on with the vocals. Then the electric guitar, Springy, makes a comeback for the full thing. Boom, 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 boom. This guitar is acting as the only thing that's going against all the rest, right? So all the rest are following the same melody, the same rhythm, and this is what's doing a counter melody, because the acoustic guitar continues, same style, bass is staying strong, and this one too. So then let's listen to guitars and bass, and you can see that Springy is the one doing the sort of pulling towards a different place for your ear to have something new. With the vocals too. This works because there's only one thing going against, and yeah, that's what makes it stand out. Also, the drums continued in a similar arrangement, if not the same. There's some sort of fill here. But we have a lot of percussion that came in, went up a lot. So shakers. These are LP, they're the loud ones. I don't know if I used both of them or just one, but I think I recall that, because listen. It's quite consistent, right? So this isn't played like this. It's not that, it's this. You want to keep it consistent sometimes. It's a different sound from shaker, but it works. And then there's this tambourine, which there's 3 versions that I tried with the hit on 1 and 3, 2 and 4, or all of them. I ended up going for 1 and 3. So there's the tambourine, right? 1, 2, nothing, 3, right? That was the idea. So the drum section by itself with the percussion coming in. The tambourine. It all adds up, and that's basically it, right? So I bring in a ton more harmonies, the bass continues, the beat continues, and we bring in percussion and this electric guitar, and then that's how we get the contrast from, let's listen to the end of the chorus into the bridge. Those shakers really doing a lot of work. I'll take them out. See, now it sounds like the chorus. Look at this. There's also quite a lot of drum fills going on. More drum fills. Those were the hardest parts to create with sequenced drums instead of recording the live drums. But as I said, I think it ended up working well for this track, and it did take a lot of time to get them right, but I'm happy. And now it sort of all fades out. I think the drums really help ease that transition, because from here you can tell they start to do fills and they cut out. And that in context with percussion stopping and the bass is this one just coming to a single note. The acoustic guitar continues, springy comes to a single note, all the harmonies are ending, and that's how we I called it the bridge too, but it's really like the transition into the outro, right? So we come from this part of the vocal down. Now the idea is we're back to a single acoustic guitar, which is this one, right? That's been going on all the time. You just need a few things well recorded that work well together, and then it comes back down to a single vocal, and it's kind of the opposite of the beginning of the track, which was my low register, which is here. I've been there. Then here at the end. Till they call for me. And that's sort of the whole journey, right, from the beginning to the end. Till they call for There's some help here from these triples. They're also it's repeating the title, The Hollow Killer Inn, which the second chorus the second chorus went straight into a bridge, so we didn't get the post chorus when you get the song title and the idea of the songwriting, and it comes back here. So they call for me at the Hollow Killer Inn, and they'll call for me when the evening falls. Outro. Just the acoustics, nothing else. And one vocal here at the end. When the evening falls. Going out into space. When the evening falls. Automating the mix knob on this Pro R, which is sort of a really long tail, and it's pretty compressed with a couple. I use this on vocals quite a lot. 1176 into an LA2A. The 76 takes care of the sharper hits and the 2A smooths it out. And in this case, I really wanted to accentuate the S in the evening falls, because that's when the reverb is at its largest, and it sort of helps create this atmosphere. Listen out. When the evening falls. Did you hear that in the background? Ending on an E chord. We're home. It's done. And that's the production breakdown for the Hollow Killer Inn. We've gone over these drums, first half of the song, no drums, some percussion helping in this chorus, then into these program drums, which become bigger for the chorus and the bridge. How did we do that? In the chorus, it's just the drum kit. And then in the bridge, we bring in the percussion again. the electric basses with the synth bass that comes in for the final big sections, the acoustic guitars, which started off finger-picked into using a real pick, which, if you're wondering, I always use these picks, which are a pretty weird choice, but I got into them a few years ago, and that's all I use now. It's the Dunlop Jazz 3. They're quite thick and small. There you go. Yep. That's all I use for both acoustic and electric. I'm very used to them, so I can play very softly, even if they're hard and thick. You know, we had this little moment with Spanish guitar, Japan, remember? The electric guitar details, the chords, the arpeggio, and the played chords are French, springy. They're all very different flavors, and I think that's sort of what helped this track. The only synth for 2 seconds. It felt a bit like a Sufjan Stevens transition, and that's why I loved it. The lead vocal, which is just, as you can tell, from here on, it's just one take. And these are just 2 or 3 takes, not much. Doubles, triples, the full voice, the affected verby vocal. The lead vocal in the end, which we had the reverb automation. These harmonies, which aren't crazy, but they really work, forming the chord on the words that I wanted to accentuate. And the end, right? These are the couple of moments which were adulation with the Spanish guitar and back, right? Back. And Marta's work, which is subtle but perfect. And that's how you get the full track. So I think that's it for me. The idea of the song is your older self, my older self, talking to my younger self. In the chorus, I mention a name. I say Kristen, that's my middle name. I'm Sasha Kristen Smith. So that's why. And it's this older self talking to the younger self on their deathbed. And the verses just tell a bit of the story. So that's why the final bridge is, I'll be you and you'll be me, at the hollow killer inn when the evening falls, which is death. That's it. So if you watched all of this, thank you. I hope it was entertaining, helpful, informative in some way. And I think I managed not to ramble too much. So anyway, I'm going to just insert one of these, a bit of the song, and I'm sure there's links in the description so you can go and listen to it. Please save it on Spotify if you can. That really helped me. And that's it for me, okay? Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Sometimes playing dead is a nose that's too slow.